in problem number 1, I notice that there is an x being squared, okay? When something is being squared, right, when x is being squared, I need to get x by itself, so I'm going to do the opposite of squaring, which is square rooting, right? This is inverse operations. If I had x plus 3, I would do x minus 3. If I have x squared, I do square root because that's the inverse. Now, if I square root on the left, I have to square root on the right. So when I square root, I get x over here. Why? Because the exponent squared and the square root, they undo each other. Now, what does the square root of 49 equal? Well, the square root of 49 is the number I can multiply by itself and get 49. And I can do 7 times 7 and get 49, but I can also do negative 7 times negative 7 and get 49. So therefore, my answer is x equals plus or minus 7. And then we take this and we break this into 2, right? This means x could equal negative 7, or x could equal positive 7. Okay, and on the quiz, your work should look just like mine. Okay, square root, plus or minus, break it into 2. Over here, again, I have something squared. This time, this whole thing in parentheses is squared. I'm still going to use the square root to get rid of the squared. So I'm square rooting on the left. And of course, if I square root on the left, I have to square root on the right. So then I get the square and the square root, they've canceled out over here on the left. So I have x plus 6 equals, and what's the square root of 121? It's plus or minus 11. Okay, and if you're looking for where to find all the square roots, right, maybe you didn't remember 121, they should be written on page 28 in your notes. Okay, but here, once I have this deal where I have plus or minus, right, that's what causes me to split this into 2 equations, because what this equation says is that x plus 6 could equal negative 11, or x plus 6 could equal positive 11. So whenever you see this symbol right here, oops, that's not what I wanted. Whenever you see this symbol right here, that's when you're going to split into 2 equations. Okay, when you take the square root, you get this symbol, plus or minus, and then you split into 2 equations. Now, in this case, my x is not by itself yet, so I'm not done, right? Here I have x plus 6, and so I need to get x by itself, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. Negative 11 minus 6, I get x equals negative 17. Here, I'm subtracting 6 to get x by itself. I get x equals 5. Okay, and again, your work on the quiz should look exactly like mine. Okay, same kind of format. Let's take a look at question 3. Now in question 3, the first thing I want to do is I want to get this by itself. Okay, and I'm going to do that exactly the same way that I would do that if it looked like this. Right, and how would I get n by itself? I would add 5. And then I would divide by 4, right, and I would get n equals 9. So that's how I got n by itself, and that's exactly how I'm going to get this, this x minus 3 squared by itself. I'm going to first add 5 to both sides. That cancels this 5 over here, and gets me 36 on the right. And then I'm going to divide by 4, and I get x minus 3 squared equals 9. Okay, now it looks kind of like my number 2 problem, right, where I have something in parentheses squared. Okay, I have this squared. So what do I do when I have something squared? I square root, because that's what gets rid of squared. Okay, and this leaves me with x minus 3, because the squared and square root canceled out on the left, and the square root of 9 is plus or minus 3, right? The square root of 9 is 3, and I get that plus or minus. And notice it's that same plus or minus sign that I had in all my previous problems. And this is where I say, oh, that plus or minus, what happens next is I get 2 equations. X minus 3 could equal negative 3, or x minus 3 could equal positive 3. And then once again, I don't have x by itself yet, so I need to go ahead and solve for x. This is x minus 3, so I'm going to get rid of minus 3 by doing plus 3. In this case, I get x equals 0. And then over here, I'm also adding 3 to get x by itself. And I get x equals 6. Okay, and once again, remember that your quiz should look like mine. I should see first, right, on this, I should see first some steps to get this piece by itself, and then next to break it into the two equations and solve.